Hello there. My name is Artie Maffa, and this is a sampler video for a class I teach at Improve Your English in Sunnyvale, California. Writing an effective business email is an important professional skill. Strangely, though, it is not a skill most schools or employers teach. In fact, here in Silicon Valley, new employees often get more training on how to use the office coffee machine than on how to use the office email system. At Improve Your English, we offer a 6-week class called Business Writing for Adults. The class focuses on teaching you how to write effective, polished, and professional emails. If you find yourself struggling with writing the right words to your manager, your team, and your customers, this is the
Truly,
class
and
for
that feels
you.
very strange.
This video is a brief sample of what we teach at Improve Your English. To follow along, please open up your web browser and use this link. If you are watching this video on YouTube, you can find a link to the Google Drive documents in the video notes.
A business email has 5 sections, and if you think of it that way, it might be easier for you to write them. You can take each section one at a time. The 5 sections are header, greeting and closing, main point, explanatory text, and call to action. The header is mostly stuff that you cannot change. The computer writes it, your email program writes it, or the email server stamps it on your message as it goes through the network. One part of the header, though, you can change, and that is the subject line. You should use the subject line to make your email specific so that your recipient knows what you're writing about. Please don't use generic subject lines such as question, or thought, or meeting. And please don't leave the subject line blank. Think about how we get emails today. Oftentimes when I get an email, I'm not actually at my laptop checking my email actively. I'm often on my phone or my tablet and I get a notification. Those notifications are usually just across the top of my screen and they tell me the sender and the subject. So the sender and subject is sometimes the only information I have when I decide if it's an email that needs my attention right away or if I can wait until I'm actually checking my email to respond to that person. So please use the subject line to indicate to your reader what you're talking about. Next is the greeting and closing. When you go to work each day, I hope you don't immediately start giving instructions or asking questions of your coworker. You probably start the day by saying hello, or good morning, or hi. Similarly, when you start an email, you shouldn't immediately start with the main point or by asking for something you want or offering information. Start with, Dear Sam, or Good morning, Sarah, or Attention Database Team. And when you close your email, please don't just type your name and click send, but please end with thank you, or sincerely, or truly yours, or best wishes, or respectfully. And you'll have many different examples that you'll see in subsequent emails of different ways to begin and end an email, depending on whom you're writing to. Next comes the main point. The main point is the whole reason you're writing the email. It should be brief, concise, and clear, and it should occur early. Please don't make your reader dig to find the main point. It should be very obvious why you're writing. Next is explanatory text. That's what most of your email is. After you've stated the main point, you can add any additional information or background that you think is necessary. Please don't do that first, though. Remember, you probably care more about your email than the recipient does. You know from your own experience that you don't entirely read every message you get. Well, assume that your recipient might not read your entire message. You don't want to start with explanation and drown out the main point, so put the explanation later. Next should be your call to action. Call to action is what you want to happen. What should be the result of the email that you've sent? And I evaluate my calls to action with this question. Who does what by when or else? Who should do something? What? What action, what result do I want to happen? By when? What's the time frame? Is it by Thursday at 2 o'clock? Is it by the second quarter of this year? Is it as soon as possible? Or is it something softer, like when you get the chance, or when you have a moment? Or else? What will be the consequence of failure? What will happen if there is no response? What will happen if we ignore this? The or else should not be a threat. It's not angry. It's not mean. It's simply a statement of what will happen if nothing happens. And if I can answer who does what by when or else, with my call to action, then chances are I've written a good one. Let's look at a sample email now. This is a sample email, and you can tell that because the people have silly names and they work for a silly company. From Sam Samples to David Demo, CC Jason Jiffy, January 15th, 2016, subject, need a new caterer, suggestions. Hey David, do you know of a catering company in Oakland? We had been using Wing Hing to cater our client workshops, but they have closed. I know you've mentioned getting tired of Chinese food twice a month, but it was great having Wing Hing just 3 blocks away from the Fernwood Center. Here is your chance to have a say in our meal options. If you know of a good restaurant that caters events of about 40 people, please email Jason and CC me. We will make a decision by Wednesday afternoon. Best, Sam Samples. This is 100 words, and it's a pretty good email, even if it's a little simple. It's short, it's to the point, and it contains a header, a greeting and closing, a main point, explanatory text, and a call to action. So let's use the highlighting features, the color text features of Google Drive to identify those different sections. First, the header. Header is usually pretty easy. Again, it's mostly stuff that the computer has typed in or that has auto-filled for you. The subject line is pretty good. Need a new caterer. Suggestions? If all that David gets is the sender and the subject line on his phone, he'll know how important this email is and he'll have a pretty good sense what it's about. Next, we're looking for greeting and closing. The greeting is easy. Hey, David. I'll make that purple. But there's also a closing. It's not just the greeting. Closing's down at the bottom. Best, Sam S. And I'll make that purple as well. Next comes the main point. Do you know of a catering company in Oakland? It's fine for your main point to be a question. Questions are actually great main points. A question tends to be a very focused statement of need. Next comes the explanatory text. This is probably stuff that David already knows. But in case he doesn't, or in case he's not sure why we'd want a catering company, there's a brief explanation. Then, the call to action. That's here. I'll make that green. Let's evaluate the call to action now in terms of the question, who does what by when or else? Who? Who does something here? Well, that's David. David's going to be the person doing something. Does what? Tells Jason and Sam about any Oakland caterers David knows. By when? By Wednesday afternoon. That's when the decision will be made. Or else. Or David won't get a say in what kind of food he eats during client workshops. How do I know he won't get a say? Well, that's actually up here. I know you've mentioned getting tired of Chinese food twice a month. And here's your chance to have a say in our meal options. So the or else part in this email is not answered in the call to action, but it's actually stated up above in the explanatory text. And that's fine. David probably won't get in trouble if he ignores this email. There probably aren't going to be any consequences other than David might not like the food that he gets twice a month. Not all emails will have an or else, but most emails should, and this isn't something you should be afraid of. People should know what will happen, if anything will happen, if nothing happens. Now, below in this document, we've got several other emails that are also samples. Here you can see a colored coding. This is the answer key. This is what we just looked at. And if we zoom out, so that you're not seeing the text so much as just the bands of color, this is very clear. Blue band, purple band, red band, brown band, green band, purple band. It's fine that this is simple. You want it to be simple. You want it to be very clear to the recipient what this email is about and where the different sections are and what they mean. Not all emails will break out this cleanly though. So down below we've got several other sample emails. Please look those over and then try in each one to find the header, the greeting and closing, the main point, the explanatory text, and the call to action. After you find each one, color them in, and then you can check your work because these emails appear one more time at the bottom of this document already colored in.